What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. And it's been a while since I did one of these, but get right into it. I want to talk about taking care of your mental health, right? Now, as of recent, and of quite some time, there's been a real big, surge of awareness when it comes to mental health. I think Mental Health Awareness Month just passed, and there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of talks, a lot of debates, seminars, lectures, shows around the topic of mental health and the thought of therapy, things like that. Marriage therapy, just just therapy with talking about with your mental state. And I think that's very important, especially discussing mental health when it comes to the African American community. Because if anybody knows the full extent of dealing with mental health, is black people. We've dealt with mental health for centuries, really, and it's deeper than most people realize. And, you know, when it comes to mental health, we deal with it on so many different levels. It is generational. We have one of the most intense forms of mental issues as a collective in the form of like PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. And I'm glad that I'm starting to see and hear African Americans, prominent African Americans, bring up the topic of mental health in our community. Because for many years, when it came to black people talking about mental health, it was always seen as a stay away topic. It was always mental health in the black community was almost as taboo as talking about sex and religion. Like, you could talk about sex and religion more than you talk about mental health in the black community, right? And there's many reasons for that. It was always seen as a sign of weakness if you showed any kind of mental breakdown. Like, you people could tolerate a physical breakdown, like you hurt yourself, or an emotional breakdown. But rarely did you hear about people talk about a mental breakdown. Because if you were seen as have a mental breakdown, keep in mind what I said. If you were seen as someone having a mental breakdown, you'd be considered as weak. So a lot of the times, people would have these mental breakdowns and these mental issues, this these bouts of depression and anxiety, but they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't show it. They wouldn't discuss it. They wouldn't display that, hey, I'm going through some things right now and I need help. Asking for help was one of the worst things you can do in the black family, in the black household, when it came to mental health. And it, if for what reason? Lord knows. There's many reasons why people just say, you know what, we don't talk about that. We don't discuss those things. But when you deal with centuries of anxiety, PTSD, and it don't stop because now you got to deal with having anxiety from seeing black people, unarmed black people getting killed on camera live. That's a form of PTSD. We're still dealing with ramifications of slavery. We're still dealing with the after effects from slavery, and that's another form of anxiety and PTSD. Then you gotta deal with social media anxiety. Then you gotta deal with your own personal anxiety that ain't got nothing to do with any of those things. It could be the anxiety of being a teenager. It could be the anxiety of marriage, of parenting, of working and making a living. You know, all of those things hit you at once. And then you have to find a way to navigate through that labyrinth of mental issues. Like, people are quicker to talk about getting arrested, shot, seeing someone killed, dealing with divorce, or losing a loved one. People are willing to deal with that faster than saying, you know what about your own mental issues? How are you dealing with your own mental issues? And when someone touches that part, like say, okay, you're talking about everything else outside of you. What about your own mental issues? How are you doing mentally? Do you need help? Because if we're all honest, we all need help. I need help mentally. People I know need help mentally. We all have dealt with and are dealing with some kind of trauma, some kind of, and it don't even have to be trauma. It really don't have to be trauma, but sometimes you deal with that. With some kind of trauma, some type of issue, some type of thoughts that just run through your mind on a daily basis, random thoughts out of the blue that may have nothing to do with you, but that you seeing something could just trigger a panic attack in you that had nothing to do with you in the first place. All of these things, when they say the mind is powerful, they're not lying. The mind is powerful. The mind is extremely powerful. You know when people say, if you believe it, you can achieve it, or first you got to see it in your mind to make it manifest. Well, it's the same thing positively, but it also means the same thing negatively. If you think of something negatively, your mind is so strong that it can manifest that negativity in your life in a place where it probably was never there in the first place. Sometimes you can insert your mind into an event that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and then you take on the mental anxiety of an event that had nothing to do with you. That's how powerful the mind is. So we have to be really, really careful about how we treat our mental state. People go to the gym 7 days a week, all day, every day, to go to the gym and work out. People may go to the doctor for a checkup, make sure they good, their body good. But and they'll talk about, like, you go on IG right now, go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you'll see a whole bunch of pictures and pages of people working out at the gym. Muscle-bound women, muscle-bound men, flexing their muscles, showing their definition and all that stuff. But how many IG pictures or IG pages do you see of someone in the thralls of mental counseling? How often do you see it? Not much. So we have to treat our mind the same way we treat our body. The same way we work out with our mind, we got to treat the same with our body. Okay, so hope you enjoy this. I'll catch you later. Peace.